to inform you guys about cochlear implants. When my nephew was born, at his day-old hearing test, he failed it. They repeated it again, and he failed it again. But this wasn't totally uncommon. They thought that maybe he had fluid in his ears. So they let him go home, and then, throughout that time, they did more testing, and at 5 months old, they officially decided that he had fluid in his ears. So they put tubes in his ears. They retested him at the time. They did more hearing tests, and he actually passed. So they decided that it definitely had to be fluid in his ears. So then over the next few months, from 5 to 8 months, his mother noticed that he was not hearing again. So at 8 months old, she brought him back in for more testing, and again, he failed the test. So then they decided that obviously it wasn't fluid in his ears, and that he needed something else had to be done. So they started with hearing aids. The hearing aids didn't work. So then at 14 months old, they did more testing, and they decided that he needed cochlear implants. So at 18 months is when he finally underwent the surgery, and then at 19 months old is when they finally turned on the cochlear implants. Cochlear implants, according to the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, that was last updated in March of 2011, states that a cochlear implant is a small, complex device that can help to provide a sense of sound to a person who is profoundly deaf or severely hard of hearing. They have an internal and an external portion, and the process of getting cochlear implants requires a lot of testing. The parts of a cochlear implant, there's 4 main parts. There's a microphone, there's a speech processor, a transmitter, and an electrode array. Picks up sound from the environment. The speech processor, it selects and arranges the sounds that are picked up by the microphone. The transmitter or receiver receives signals from the speech processor and converts them into electronic impulses. And then finally, the electrode array is a group of electrodes that it collects the impulses from the stimulator and sends them to different regions of the brain via the auditory nerve. Cochlear implants are for the people who are profoundly deaf. It was stated in the American Speech and Language Hearing Association article about cochlear implants, which was updated in February of 2014, that cochlear implants bypass the damaged part of the inner ear and send sound signals directly to the brain via the auditory nerve. So the difference between cochlear implants and hearing aids is that hearing aids are just going to amplify any sound, whereas cochlear implants are going to bypass any damaged portion of the ear that you're not hearing from. Also, people with auditory neuropathy, which is stated in the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, last updated in March of 2003, that auditory neuropathy is a hearing disorder in which sound enters the inner ear normally, but the transmission of signals from the inner ear to the brain is impaired. It can affect people of all ages from infancy through adulthood. My nephew, he has the auditory neuropathy, so that's why it's a little bit harder to diagnose, because sometimes you can hear and sometimes you can't hear. So when they're doing the testing, sometimes they can get a false positive because they're hearing sometimes. There's a lot of testing that needs to be done prior to surgery because it is such a major surgery. They do various hearing testings. They, like I said before, they'll try hearing aids to see if maybe that's the way to go as opposed to the cochlear implants because that's a major surgery. They do a CT scan just to see the temporal bone and evaluate the patency of the cochlea. They're going to do a psychological exam for adults that are going to go for the surgery, and obviously they do a physical exam prior to any surgery. So I actually have living proof that these cochlear implants were, an amazing invention. They are. My nephew Joey is here, and he has cochlear implants. Go ahead, say hi.
Hi. I need my cochlear implant back.
Show how you put it on.
Do you hear?
Wow.
Yes.
Good job.
Very good job.